Guys, how's it going? So today we have a couple of projects to work on, but the first one I'm especially excited for. So you can see I'm standing in the orchard, it's right behind me. Today we are going to seed this area with grass. Standing back so that you can kind of get a feel for the whole space, our orchard is 95 feet wide, 35 feet deep. There's a total of 9 fruit trees. We've got 2 peaches, a pear, a plum, a nectarine, 2 apricots, and 2 apples. Our flower shed is roughly 12 by 18 feet. Right here, we've just used the heck out of this structure already. I love it. The fence we have around the area, the back part is 6 feet tall and it's more privacy style so that we could hide palletized soil, extra bricks, our tractor, all that stuff back there. And then the picket comes off of that. And I love the way it makes this area feel. It makes it feel like its own space, like it's a room, but you still have a good view of everything. Right in front of it, we're gonna have a grass pathway here as well, but this will be more of like a lawn feel, more tidy and maintained. The cut flower garden is here, house is over there. I'm just so excited to have some green in here. I mean, having something planted in this area will help with weed suppression. It'll help keep the dust down. It will help bring the temperature down out here. It's amazing how that works. But I'm excited for the look of it. I mean, we're going for more of a meadow feel out here. So we're planting a grass. Let me actually show you the back. This is it right here. It's Turf Saver RTF. That stands for Rhizomatous turf fescue. So it's a type of grass that will get tall-ish, like usually like a foot, foot and a half, but it won't get so tall that it'll compete with the canopy of our trees or with the type of irrigation that we put in. And it stands up to overhead irrigation. It shouldn't flop like a lot of other grasses will flop. And I really wanted it to be the type where you can kind of mow grass pathways through it. I think that would be really pretty, and it would be really hard to do that with more bunch grass type of grasses. But the really nice thing about the RTF, well, there's a lot of good things about it, you know, other than just the size, but it's got a really deep root system. It requires 30% less water than normal grass seed does, or grass lawns do. So I think that will be really nice out here. It also maintains the deep green through the heat, and it's I want to say self-healing grass. I mean, kind of is. It's really good for high traffic areas. So a lot of people in our area use them in sports complex like football fields, soccer fields, play yards at schools, parks, those types of things, because if you have heavy traffic, it fills in really fast, and that's because of the rhizomatous nature of the turf fescue. So it sends out rhizomes or growth points or roots underneath the soil surface, and then it pops up in other places, so it creates a very dense mat. So if you have that high traffic and it gets messed up, like on golf courses or things like that, it fills back in super quickly. And you know, the other grass that we've planted around here, the perennial rye and Kentucky bluegrass, it's actually a pretty good grass in our area too. The Kentucky blue spreads by rhizomes and creates a pretty good mat too, but not as good as the RTF. So I think it's going to be, and it's the Kentucky blue is much more fine bladed, so it would flop under irrigation pressure. So it was just all those different things that I never really thought about, you know, prior to planning a space like this. And it is going to be an experiment because I've never done this before. And you know that we've planted bulbs in here. So last fall we did 9,000 bulbs. They're all short type bulbs, and they combination of factors I think played into their performance this spring, but we had a very mild winter. It's possible they were buried just a tad too deep and they didn't get very much water through winter. We had a ton of moisture come after the bulb display was done, but not through kind of like those pivotal months where we needed the moisture to bring them up nicely. But I've spoken with Colorblend, which is where the bulbs came from, and they said they should thicken up and really perform better in the coming year. So I'm looking forward to that. We're also planting a couple thousand more taller bulbs this fall, and that's one of the reasons we want to get the grass in and growing so that it's established and ready to go once the bulbs are ready to be planted. So the plan is in the fall to mow the grass down to look more like a lawn, very short, and then it'll go dormant and it'll just sit there through the winter, and then those spring bulbs, which are shorter, will have a chance to come up and bloom before the grass starts to grow. And then once the grass grows, it'll start to cover up those shorter blooms, and that's when our second flush of taller blooms will hopefully start in. I think it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. So anyway, that was a heck of a lot of information, you guys. I think we just need to get this done. Aaron said he was going to come out here and spread this grass. He got this grass spreader. It's battery operated, and he really likes it. So it's a Scott's Whiz. That's what he's going to use to spread it. Let me figure out how much grass seed we actually need. I think we overreacted by buying a 50-pound bag, but it's never a bad idea to have some on hand. So we have just over 3,000 square feet. I took the square footage of the whole area, which is 95 times 35, and then subtracted the square footage that the flower shed is taking up, which is 12 by 18. And that comes out to be 3,109. So usually the seeding rate is about 1 pound per 200 square feet, roughly. I mean, usually we go a little heavier than that. So we should only need about 15 pounds, maybe just slightly over. We'll use more than that. But anyway, that's the seeding rate for this type. It's different, like regular long seed. The other one, the perennial rye Kentucky Blue, is 1 pound per 250 square feet. So slightly different. While we are waiting for Aaron, I did want to show you the lights on the shed. They were installed yesterday, and then we need to trim some suckers out from the peach trees. Aren't those perfect? These were meant to just be placeholders. I had a different vision of what I wanted for lights in here, but these actually match our house lights pretty closely. Like they're kind of the same style, and I think they look so cute. It might just be because I really love not seeing there be empty holes in front of the shed, but I think they're just so pretty. I do need to come in and patch up the paint. I meant to do that before the lights were installed, but you know how that goes. So I'll come out here and do that here in the next day or so, but I just love the way they look. Still waiting on hardware for the windows, and we are going to be putting in a flower bed, just a shallow one, just with some cottagey like daisies and lavender and things like that around the sides and up to the door. I'll probably always have some kind of a pot arrangement here. I'm going to scoot them out a little bit. Everything's been moved around a little bit. And then we'll probably put a couple of flagstones from the door over to where the grass pathway starts. So there'll be flagstone, the width of the door, and then the flower bed will come out like this. Probably not going to tackle that this season. That's a next season project, I think. Okay, our peach trees are growing beautifully. Most of the blooms got frozen off with the weird cold snap we had this spring, but that's been okay. It's been kind of nice to see them just be able to produce, you know, roots and focus their energy on that instead of fruit. But you can see down here, I need to come in and cut these off. Later on, when the tree is dormant, I will come in and probably cut off these bigger ones. Anyway, let's do that quick because I hear Aaron. Yep, there he is. Hold on, Aaron, I just gotta clip these suckers off quick. This one has a couple big ones. My goodness, they're all branched out and everything. There's a peach. Look at that. Oh, that's exciting. I'm gonna cut this one off. I've got a pair of pruners here. Look at all these suckers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
here you go.
These bags. Don't you like pull?
Yeah, you got to cut the string and then pull from one side.
Where's the string?
Well, this,
right
yeah, the
here.
string's right there. One last tree update before we spread the grass. Behind the shed here, this poor red bartlett pear. It got fire blight last year, which oftentimes you'll see, you know, sections of it do this right here. And you can see I came in and lopped it off like far below, maybe 6 or so inches below where I saw the affected growth. And I thought I got after it because this spring the tree looked fine and it set fruit and everything, but you can see that it's still spreading through the tree. It's trying to produce new growth, but I would have to cut it down to about here in order to get rid of the affected stuff that it currently has. So I feel like the approach at this point with how damaged that tree is just to dig it out and put a new one in. Thankfully it's behind the shed, and we can do that next spring. I would get into trouble. Oh, so you did it. You got it. Oh, maybe.
Well.
Would you like some help?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Here.
Well, I got a little bit open.
Is that all you need open?
Oh, probably.
That probably is less risky than opening it
Here,
further.
do you want to hold that?
Yeah. I would get into trouble if I damaged the bags down at the garden center.
Really?
Yes, because we would reuse a lot of not that bag, but a lot of other bags. Do you know what setting to put this whiz on?
Oh, I just eyeball it.
Okay. I figured out how many pounds we need for this space.
Oh, really?
15.
Well, we'll have a little extra. It doesn't go bad, does it?
No. It smells good. It smells like the bins down at the garden center. Do you like it to be mounding full?
Sure.
Okay.
That's probably, well, maybe a little more.
It's got a little dial right here. Do you usually start at the lower number?
Yeah, I think you keep it maybe around like 3 or so. We'll play around with it.
Okay.
I think it depends on how big the seeds are.
How are you going to approach this? Back corner to the front?
Corner.
Okay.
Not enough. 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go a little more. Do 4. There we go.
Let me get a close-up on this. That's so handy.
Yeah.
Did you just put the number up higher? Do you want me to rake it at all, or are we just gonna just leave it?
Probably just leave it.
Okay. Do you want to roll any compost over the top of it?
Soil looks pretty good out here. I think it'll be fine.
Okay. In the preparation part of this project, there was a bunch of compost that was spread out. I don't know if I already mentioned that. And the soil's pretty soft because, you know, last fall we tilled it to plant all the bulbs, and things are still kind of settling. And then a lot of trenching happened to get electric both to the shed and then also the irrigation system. So there will be areas, I'm guessing, when we add more and more water. We have been watering it with the irrigation system over the last 2 weeks to help settle any of those soft spots over the trenches. But I expect we may have to add compost here and there. But we're not going to cover the grass seed with anything. We're just spreading it over the top. We're not going to even rake it in. We're just going to water it periodically throughout the day. And with how hot it is, like today it's 100, it should be up in just a few days. And we'll start seeing that haze of green, and then we'll start backing off on water. Should be a pretty simple process, hopefully. By the time I'm ready to plant bulbs, how big do you think the grass will be?
Oh, it'll be full.
Full
Yeah.
on grass
Yeah, it'll
lawn
be full
in there?
on grass.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yay. It's all done. It's not a super tangible project today, but we should see some growth here in the next week. If we get close, you can see where the grass seed is. Kind of see how thick it is on top of there. Now, one could go in and put a very light dusting of compost on top, or some people put straw. That would not last 2 seconds here in our area with all of our wind. Some people will just kind of lightly rake it. We just prefer to leave it straight on top of the soil. And usually as long as you keep it wet, oh, Aaron's got the water going on. As long as you keep it wet, it should be okay. Yeah, you can see how tall these pop-ups get. Right here, 12-inch pop-ups. And then, do you know what kind of sprinkler you had them put on the top? Because we had to try a few.
Oh, it's just a
regular
like a rotor type, I think is maybe what you call it. I don't know, just like the type that, you know.
Because they initially had the fingers, and they were just beating the windows and the whole flower shed and the whole fence. It was just getting down everything.
Shooting like 12 feet in the air.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
No. I think this will work perfectly. You can also see how deep the flower bed is going to be here. It might be a situation where I just let the grass kind of grow and then just have some like perennials popping up through the grass so it looks extra natural. I'm glad you got it on. Oh, only for about a minute or so.
Yeah.
So at this point when it's still 100, how long are you going to be watering the...
I think I have it set to run 5 or 6 times a day, and it runs for about 5 minutes each set. So the goal is that it doesn't pool. Mm-hmm. If it pools, it's too much. But if it's dry, like if it looks like this, then you know you're going to lose it. It won't germinate.
Mm-hmm. We'll probably get some amount of overspray, I'm guessing, because we've got... Can you help me find a sprinkler along here? There's one along here for the grass pathway. Yeah, there's about a 2-foot gap because we initially thought we might plant a hedge of something right here, which we may still do. I think the overspray, once this grass pathway is being watered and the orchard at the same time, will probably have grass come up in this area as well. But it might help ease the transition from mowed grass to non-mowed grass. I don't know. This is going to just be all experiment and trial and error, I think. Yeah. Do you want to help me prune the willow?
Can I prune?
Yeah. Can you prune?
Can I prune how I want to prune it?
Like a bowl cut?
Well, maybe. We'll just see how it turns out.
Oh, mercy. I think that's all the details on this grass. If I think of anything else later, we'll definitely share it with you, and we'll give you updates too throughout, you know, this process, how it goes, how long it takes to come up. Anyway, so the next project we're going to work on today, maybe just me, I don't know. We're going to head to the willow tree in front of the greenhouse because it is planted in lawn and it has grown down to the lawn. So it is blocking grass sprinklers and making some of the areas dry out. So we need to lift the canopy a little bit. I am so excited to have the grass in though. Like I was kind of coming to a point where I thought it may not even happen this year. and I was trying to be okay with that. So anyway, I'm excited. And this whole area will be grass hopefully by the end of this season as well. Look at this. Look at this, you guys. We have a pumpkin that's turning orange. Look. Oh my goodness. Oh, and it's a good size one too. I love it. That's a Howden. While we're here, let me just give you a quick update on this area. It's growing like crazy. I mean, these are up to like my elbow, maybe even taller than my elbow. The only thing that hasn't really grown great is the stuff that I planted for the arbor. So the hyacinth beans are taken off. They are kind of trying to get to the top there in some spots. But the black-eyed Susan vine is it's more of a ground cover rather than a climbing vine, unless you want to train it all the time, and I'm not into that. So anyway, that's just kind of been a learning thing for me. We had this though on the obelisks in the pots last year, and they got themselves all the way to the top of it on their own. So I'm not really sure what the difference is this year. Either way, the zinnias up here are gorgeous. They created a beautiful flowery fence up here. As we walk through the arbor, you can see the pumpkins on both sides growing like crazy. Pan this direction, like this pumpkin right here is growing out into the aisle. I need to come in here and do some maintenance on these pots. You can't even see the pots anymore, but the cannas need to be deadheaded. This is not watered yet today, so it's so hot that the potato vine usually wilts a little bit, and then once they water it picks right back up. But let's walk through the maze. We've got sunflowers going. These all stayed a little bit shorter than I thought they would. Here's our second seeding of corn right here. It's coming up beautifully, starting to tassel actually. And some really pretty varieties here. Look at these. Like, what? Those are so tall. Oh, I think it's watering right now. I think I can hear the water. Could probably use a little bit of support back in here. But it's fun for the kids. It's kind of like this little magical space. Ooh, and the corn, yum. Maybe we'll pick some and have some for lunch. Corn's doing great. I actually wondered if I would get really good pollination on the corn, because usually, you want to plant it in blocks so that everything's pollinated really nicely, and my rows are kind of spread out. I mean, they start here and go this direction, and they spread all the way to that area there. I think they're close enough together, just being in this same spot, in the same general area, that it looks like they were pollinated fine. Usually you can tell you've had poor pollination if the kernels don't start until like way far down the ear here, or if there's big empty spots, like there'll be a kernel or two ripening here and then an empty spot and then more kernels down here, just a very irregular looking ear corn. But these look really good. This is ambrosia, the 75-day bicolor. It's really sweet and tasty. A couple more. Don't those look pretty? You can tell this one right here had a little bit more irregular pollination than these right here. Oh, but they all look perfect. And then a few of my favorite sunflowers this year. This is an Astra Rose Cream. This is from Baker Creek, and they are gorgeous. This one is Sunrich Lime. I think it's absolutely beautiful. The pollinators love them. This one here is Gypsy Charmer. Beautiful color and a really nice size for arranging. They're not too huge and heavy. They've got thinner stems, and I kind of like to have a few of those. This is the redhead right here. I had a horrible time with germination. I seeded them twice, and I have a few little kind of spindly plants, but the blooms are pretty. This is a Starburst Lemon Aura. Oh, that one's unique and gorgeous. Along the back row here, we have a lot of like Autumn Beauty. There's Heirloom Beauties, there's Evening Sun, and they're all just kind of a mix of these autumnal colors. They're kind of like small to medium sized flowers. They get nice and tall, just gorgeous. The Evening Sun variety though has definitely grown the tallest. Like I want to say this one right here is about 9 or 10 feet tall. This one right here is probably about 11, 12 feet tall, I'm guessing. 11 feet. 10 to 11. This one right here is White Knight. You can see that they're kind of starting to peter a little bit. And I've cut so many, but I enjoy watching them grow and bloom out here too, just as much almost as having them in a cut arrangement. That variety is White Light. And then we've got some really pretty yellow sunspots up there that stay very short, but get the nice big flowers. And this Wolf Pumpkin Vine right here, we lost a big chunk of it early on, and it's really grown a lot, but I haven't really like inspected the whole area, but I don't see any fruit on that vine yet. Tons on the cinnamon girl though. They are all over the place in here. You can see all the orange kind of popping through there. Anyway, this has been just a really fun area and a good learning experience too. You know, I've grown all of these things before, but kind of putting them together in this kind of a setting, it was interesting to see how, you know, the corn and sunflowers would do with the trellising, like from the gate. And it's been so wonderful because the corn, I haven't had to tie a single thing up because they kind of like, they'll send a leaf through the back side of the trellis and that will hold them steady instead of, you know, having to tie in each individual stalk up. So it's overall been so nice. I'll do the arbor differently next year, and I'm going to probably do the squares a little bit differently in here, but that will keep it interesting and fun. Oh my goodness, it's easy to get distracted. I just want to show you guys everything all the time, but I need to go get some pruning done. Serendipity allium's looking awesome. And this is the tree right here I was talking about. So see how the willow has grown, it's touching the grass, it's blocking the water from reaching the edge here. So what we need to do is come in and kind of lift this canopy a bit, not a whole lot, and I don't want to do it all at the same level. Like I'll come in and do some a little bit higher than others, so it still kind of has this elegant drapey, irregular look, but it will allow the water to get to where it needs to get. Yeah, it's even getting kind of dry under here. Boy, it's a gorgeous tree though. The kids love to play in here. Aaron just came over and mowed underneath because I made quite the mess, but I was able to lift the canopy over the whole grassy area. But you'll notice I left some, you know, with some length on them, and then I let them be long over the driveway because there's no sprinklers right there. And that's really like why you want a weeping willow. You want kind of like that majestic drape. And I left this one over here. Okay, so now I'm going to run the sprinklers here just for a few minutes to make sure that I don't need to trim any more of these up further. The problem out here with the grass, it always gets drier out here because all the sprinklers are on this side. There are no sprinklers over here, so it's not getting overlap water, which usually that's kind of what you want. It's kind of a weird area anyway. I mean, you can see we just did the brick here just to finish it off because we did it in front of the raised bed garden, then all the way down the rest of the west side. It's just such an odd area because our greenhouse is right here. We use this space for plant overflow. We park a gator here usually. So like, you know, I could round this off a little bit or not. I don't know. The kids love to play in this grass, and it is handy to have this grass here that they can play in the shade while I'm working in here. And we occasionally film projects right here in the grass because, you know, the background is a little bit more shaded and it's kind of pretty back there. There's some interest. So anyway, yeah, for now it'll stay exactly like this. From what I can tell, it looks pretty good. There might be one small little patch of branches on that far side. I can see the sprinklers hitting them a little bit, but I don't think that's actually blocking the water from making it to where it needs to go. It's just something I need to be more routine about doing, honestly. It's always one of those things that after I get it done, I think that took me less than 10 minutes just to trim up those branches. If I would just do it more often, then we wouldn't have the issues with the grass. But you know, we have the same thing with the other willow by the big Hebe statue. It either is a full sun area if we keep the willow trimmed up, or it's a fairly shaded area if we let it go. So I've always struggled a little bit with plants in that area because I know myself, and I know I won't keep up on the pruning like I should. So I really need to focus on plants in there that can handle either or, you know, both sun or shade. And there are things like that, like the Surefire Rose Begonias do great. They've been doing great for us on the west side underneath the maple trees. These right here, some of them get sun, some of them get shade. There are 5 maples and they all have Surefire Rose right below them. So yeah, that's probably something I'll need to try out underneath the willow. And you guys, that is going to be it for today. I'm so thrilled about the grass seed. I cannot wait to share updates on that area. I think it's just gonna It's gonna make that whole space look so pretty and just so much more lush and cool. Oh, love it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.